Wanted to show you some tips for Google Drive. Google Drive is a cloud-based file and file folder sharing system that's connected to your Google account, so either a Gmail account or a G Suite paid account. Basically, the easiest way to get there, you can go to drive.google.com. As long as you're logged in, it'll take you to your Google Drive. Anywhere in any Google products, if you click this Google Apps button, it'll drop down your options. So you can always open your Google tools here. And there's also a More button that'll bring more, and there's an Even More. A lot of people don't know this, but you can also actually move these around. So if you have one that you like better or you want to be able to access, you can actually just put these in the order that you want to see them. So we'll jump right in here. Basically, Google Drive is extremely comparable to a Dropbox or a Box.com or any of those other cloud-based storage systems. For one, it's tied to your Google account, so it's pretty easy to access and use. It's pretty easy to control permissions. If you do use G Suite with a company, G Suite is the version, the upgraded Google account version where it's paid, but you can use your own domain name. So like @bobsmith.com would be your login, but you're still in all the Google tools. So in essence, when you come to My Drive, which is where when you log in it'll bring you to, you'll see your folders, or if you have not used it yet, I think there's a one document, kind of how to use Google Drive. To create a new folder or upload a file to Drive or even create a doc within, like most Google things, up here at the top left is where you create or generate that. For the most part, it's pretty straight ahead. You can do file upload or folder upload. So if you have a folder on your computer that you want to pull the whole folder up, that's an easier way to do that, and to keep that folder's name. It'll just upload that whole folder. So there's another button over here, a details button, that actually is really handy because it shows you the history. And in fact, it shows you the history of what you're working on or working in. So for example, if I click on the resources folder here it actually shows the history specific to this folder and the activity that's gone on there. So, and then the details tab will show who it's shared with, when it was created, when it was last opened. So definitely handy info. I tend to leave this open, and I can see if other people that it's been shared with have made changes. You can also right click or two finger click on a Mac to get more options. So you can open the files with any connected apps you have. You can use this to share it with other people. Typically this share is with other people via their Google accounts. The shareable link pops up some options. We'll go a little deeper on that in a minute. Move to will pop up a window where you can move it to another folder within your drive. You can star it as a favorite. You can even do color coding, rename it, download it to your machine, or remove it. We'll put it in the Google Drive trash. Another interesting tip, you can download a Google Drive app, maybe for lack of a better term, that it's this guy up here. Oh, you can't see my screen up there. Anyway, it puts it at the very top of, if you're on a Mac, at the very top. On a PC, it's just running in the background. Where this Google Drive is also a folder locally on your machine. So it's a good backup. It's also a good way to work offline. So check into that. It's probably a little more advanced use, but as you get to using this more, you can also have it live natively on your machine with the same information. So you can even modify stuff when you're offline. So I'm just going to open this folder real quick. So this is something I had done a long time ago for some presentations I did to be able to share out documents. And you can see here's a little bit of history, even and the details. It even actually shows a screenshot of it. But one of the really great things about Google Drive is the ability to collaborate with it. So this is a demo document, but basically, this is a closing spreadsheet that people can use to keep a master list of all their closings. It does, just like Excel does, auto totals, average price point across these. And it calculates the averages and totals for any of these columns. So one of the most powerful things about Google is that you can share it. So when I mouse over here, you can see this one has been set that anyone with a link can access this. They don't even have to be signed into a Google account. So obviously, if this was your real closing record, you probably wouldn't want that setting. But this was a demo that I offered up for people to grab at a presentation I did. So also, if you click on share, it brings you a little more detail. So it shows the sharing level here, so to speak. And you can change this here. If you click on that, it gives you options. And you can also invite specific people by typing in their names here. So you just do that. And then when you have added the people you want to add, you can also control the permission level you're giving them. So if you just want to give them the ability to view, that would be here. If you want to give them the ability to view and comment, that's here. And if they should be able to edit the file, then you can put it on edit. I believe edit is typically the default. So you want to take a look at that depending. So this can be a great way to share out a document with the team and control permissions. You may not want people to edit the information, but they would be able to see it. One last tip on people that are invited to this currently, if you click on this down here, the list, it'll also bring you to this screen. So it'll give you a URL up here that just is accessible to these specific people. So for example, if you just wanted to remind them or say, hey, here's that document we had, so they don't have to go find it in their drive, then you can just send them this link and the same permissions apply. So if it's hidden except for certain people and you send this link to those certain people, they can go right to it. You can also still invite people here just the same way. And you can elect to notify them or not. If you want to notify them, you can click here and add a message. It just says, hey, here's that document, or hey, just added you to this, please take a look. And you can, of course, copy yourself there as well. So really great feature for collaboration. I highly recommend sharing at the folder level, because what happens is if you share individual documents with people, then they just go into their drive as individual documents. But if you come back at the folder level and do that right click and share here, then you're sharing that folder. And any documents that come or go in that folder will be accessible to those same people and organized into that folder. So that could be a real important thing to note when you are going to be adding documents or really collaborating with somebody, and you can control the permission levels at the folder level, which you can then go in at the document level and tweak if you need, but sharing at a folder level is a much smarter way to keep things really organized and not having a billion documents that everybody sees in different places. So if someone's sharing something with you in Drive, it's important to note it will not show up in your drive, in the My Drive here. You're going to need to go to Shared with Me when they first share that with you. And let's see, this is probably... So if you right click on that, then it'll say add to my drive. So people can't mess with your file structure unless you allow them to. So they share that with you. You hit add to my drive, and then when you hit that, it'll pop up automatically. Do you want to organize this? So when you hit organize, it'll bring up that same file structure, and you can come in and out of your existing folders and move this into the appropriate folder for you. Important to note that will not change the folder for the sender. So they can have a different file structure than you, which can be complicated, but if you understand it, it's very handy because you can put stuff where you want it, they can have stuff where they want it, and you guys can all access the same information. Another great tip here, this recent folder. This is a really great way to just say, hey, I was working on that document yesterday. I don't even remember what folder it was in, but hey, it's right here under the Recent tab. I'm not going to go into mobile in this video, but on mobile it is quite different. There is a Google Drive app, but to modify sheets like Excel here and documents more similar to Word, you need the separate Sheets and Docs app. And one of the great things about those is I think the default setting is by recent activity. So the good news is if you're working on a document on your computer and you open up that Docs app on your phone, the very first item, I'm sure there's ways to shift the sorting, but it seems that typically the default is when you open on the app, it's accessible as the first document on your phone. So it's an easy way to make a quick note in the same document on potentially a different device. So of course that's the other beauty of this, is that you do share it across multiple devices and you can make updates on any of those devices and they'll live in the same place. So I want to do a quick overview of the docs and sheets. I'm not going to go into any of the others just now, but if you want to create a new doc, it's very, very similar to Microsoft Word in formatting and whatnot. You got your fonts, your sizes, you can, bold and underline stuff. There's undo and redo. Another great piece of this is that you can download it as multiple formats. So if you wanted to download this and be able to open it in Word, that's here. You can pull it as open document, rich text. PDF is another great way to potentially just download this as something that's not editable and send it off to somebody else to see it without sharing it with them in Drive. You can do plain text, pull it as an HTML zipped or an EPUB file. So pretty handy. Pretty similar things here with Google Sheets. So you can create very similar to Excel. Formulas are done very similarly if you want to do a total. Something of note, there's no data here, I don't know if this will even work, but if you highlight a field, in fact, let's just throw in a little bit of information so I can actually show you. One of the cool things about Google Sheets that I'm not 100% sure Excel does, if you mouse over these, it'll actually show you the sum here, and you can toggle with which data you want to see. So this is really handy. For example, in that closing record I showed before, you can just mouse over information and get a total for the cells you've selected. So maybe not the master total, but for example, if you want to see just your February closings, then in something like this, well, there's only one in this, but if you mouse over it or select multiples, then it'll give you a sum or other data as you want, and you can move up and select that to be what shows down here at the bottom. So pretty handy feature. Another great thing, I think they have an auto sum. Yeah, so if you hit sum here, it'll create a new field directly below those with the formula for that sum. So very similar to Excel, but it can obviously be a handy feature. And then typically I would probably color this cell to note that it's a total or write total next to it, so it's clear that that's not just another field, it's the total of those fields. So you can also click on the name itself up here to be able to modify it. So that's another great way you can obviously keep your stuff organized. If you have 20 untitled spreadsheets, that's probably not going to help you. So I hope that helps on a high level overview. If you have questions, drop us a comment or let us know how we can help.